Well, hey guys, we're back.
Your heart, keep it in your pocket for safekeeping. Don't ever let nobody be the reason.
Welcome to Dope After 40, the podcast.
Don't let your hair get in the way. Can't be defined by your mistakes. You know you're trying.
Thank you guys for tuning in to Dope After 40, the podcast. I am your host, Nisi Marie. We got a special treat for you guys again. Friend to the show, Dr. Leslie Becton. Hey, girl, hey.
Hey,
How's it going today?
it's going well. It's been a rough week, back to school with the kids. So, you know,
How's that transition?
I'm trying to get my mind right. I'm really
Yeah.
trying. I'm making a very strong attempt. And I think it got off to a good start this week.
Yeah, everybody's acclimated. The kids, they're like, they're getting up on their own.
No, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. Same here. I had the same type of issues. Oh, well, for me, actually, mine was a little bit more dramatic because my eldest, Jaden, started college at Loyola University in Maryland. So we did a whole college drop off. Made sure he was secure, set up the dorm, and then I cried like a goddamn baby.
Yeah, of course.
That's my firstborn. But it was bittersweet because it's one of those things where, yeah, I'm going to miss him, but I actually want him to, and I'm glad he went away. I'm glad he went out of state for school because I want him to learn some real life lessons on his own. You know what I mean? It's only but so much we can teach him in the home, and he has to get out there and learn some things by way of
Absolutely.
messing up, by way of, not holding mommy and daddy's hands and not having us, available around as a fail-safe. So, but we miss
I
him.
agree.
Well, I miss him. I don't know about the youngest. Justin, like, listen, what up? Can I switch rooms? Can I switch rooms? So, have you been watching the news lately? I want to kind of pivot into a few of our dope after 40 celebs, I guess. A little bit of a hot topic. Wendy, I'm kind of stealing your subject. But shout out to Serena Williams.
Out.
Yo.
Yes. I mean, she didn't win, but the career itself has been
Yeah.
monumental, game changing,
Mm-hmm.
absolute GOAT in every way.
I cannot agree with you anymore. I mean, she was phenomenal when she had, I think, beat Anna Cooper. Girl, don't let me turn that lady name
Yeah,
up.
don't.
But
Don't even
anyway,
try.
yeah, she beat second round. She beat her in the second round of the U.S. Open, and I mean, I just could not get enough of it. She was just so confident. She was just. I remember there was a reporter there. And the reporter had actually asked her something with referencing, like, in regards to her skills. Like, how do you feel, still to be able to maintain, sorry, guys, maintain, this skill level. And I felt like she wanted to say, at this age.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know what I
she
mean?
tried it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because the girl that she won against was like literally half her age, 26 years old, and Serena's like 40. Yeah, I think she's 40 years old. So that was something that was enough to talk about to me. But then she went on and lost in the third round, but it's okay.
It's all
You think she's gonna
good.
retire?
I mean, when you're playing at that type of level, I guess
Yeah.
it's really up to Serena at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It
she
can go
only
either way.
Serena knows when she's reached her saturation point. Only she knows.
I
But,
agree. I agree.
I believe she can go as long and as hard as she would like, but it's
Yeah.
it's more than just a physical thing. It's a mental thing when it comes to like just being at the top of your game. Anyway,
I agree. I listen. Her and her sister are both phenomenal, but for me, I always felt like she just always had something more. She just always gave or had something that was just like more enlightening, more just, I don't know. It was just an aura, but it was something about her. I don't know.
Yeah, she
I don't
was
know.
actually like more raw to me. You know, like I mean, both of them have put their stamps on the whole tennis world and made girls that look like us want to play tennis.
Right.
But it was something about Serena that just was so raw and it's so just reminded you of that down home girl, that girl who is like us. You know, she walks like us, she talks like us. Like, and I remember one of my favorite Serena clips is when she beat somebody at a match, which you know she always has, and she started crip walking. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
You go, girl. Yes, there was always some type of like you could just. It was like a feeling of being like that oneness. There was like, you know what I mean? Like when there were young black children, young black girls watching her, there's no way that they cannot say that can be me. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? They just had a level of familiarity with like, you know, with the culture, you know?
That's right.
And that was just like, yeah. So that I listen, I would love to see her for as many more years as she can, you know, throw out a tennis ball, but I think she might actually be on the road to retirement. So we might be seeing little Serena soon. You know, her daughter might be coming up in the ranks.
Yeah.
I don't
Olympia.
deny that. So on from trials, Leslie, to our tribulations.
Not the tribulations.
Girl, Nick Cannon. You know he announced his 10th pregnancy announcement.
Leave me alone. As a matter of fact, get out of my face. What?
10. I think he's building an army. I don't really know. I would like to get your professional opinion, and I want to get your hey girl opinion. Like, what do you think is going on with Nick Cannon?
It's so much to say, Denise.
Yeah.
It's so much to say. Professionally, I'm starting to get a bit concerned. You know, I'm starting to get a bit concerned. You know, being a parent and to be a successful parent is not just about like the financial aspect of it. It's really about timing and being there. And some children need a lot more attention than others. I mean, all children need attention, but some children, you know, need their personalities just require a whole lot more. And it's not enough money in the world that's going to divide this man 10 ways.
Agreed. And that's one of my things too. Sometimes I feel like, is he doing it for publicity? Because I remember a few years ago, he was actually quoted saying that, you know, he was looking to get a vasectomy. But then when he started having more children, it became like such a media frenzy. He started to become so, you know, recognized in the media for having children now. It's almost like it's like a game for him. It's almost like, yeah, y'all, let's see how many I can have. You know what I mean? I mean, he's having not one in 2020, one in 2021, one in 2022. He's having them like 3 to 4 or 5 weeks apart. I mean,
Right.
that has to be like some sister wives type shit.
And I mean, and the other thing that concerns me is not, you know, okay, now that he's not able to split himself 10 ways, like he's literally running up in pretty honeys constantly.
Right.
Right? And so he's constantly on the prowl. He's in relationships with all of these women.
Yep. Every last
And
one of them.
He's having unprotected sex with every last one of them.
He refuses to wear a condom. He has stated publicly that he will not wear a condom. That's why he gravitates to women he deems to be safe who aren't messing with male options, anyone that they're having sexual intercourse with. Now, what the fuck is that?
A damn mess is what it is. So, okay. All right. So he wants to ensure that these women are not sexually attached to others, but he's clearly sexually attached to at least 5.
Right.
Right? And that's not even including the ones that he's not getting pregnant. So with that being said, maybe about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, I saw an interview with him talking about how, like, his sexual escapades, if you will, and how he doesn't like women whose pHs are off.
I saw that. Yeah.
So the stigma around like a woman and her pH being off has long been the stereotype of a man who feels like this woman is unclean. This woman is not well maintained. Her hygiene is not where it needs to be. But when in all actuality, let's use Nick Cannon as a case study. Nick Cannon is the BV. He is the bacterial vaginosis. He is the super spreader, if you will. He's the one in the common denominator who is saying himself he doesn't want to use condoms, but he's having raw, unprotected sex with all of these women.
Right.
So have his pH meet their pHs, meet the other woman's pH. You know, come on.
It's just
It's a cesspool for disaster.
Yep. Exactly. And number one, he needs to be educated on women's health because he's definitely doing a disservice to these women. But then I got to think about, on the flip side, the women that are allowing this to come into their homes, that are allowing this for him to have these multiple children with, knowing that he's just all over the place. Like, what's that mentality about? What is that?
Well, you know, when we get down to the basic nitty gritty of it, like some would like to believe that, oh, it's not like a self-love issue. You know, it's women who lay down with men who don't have money and they have multiple children for them. So in every category, in every form or way, it's still an issue of low self-esteem. It's still an issue of low value. You're still presenting yourself in a way, like it's prostitution almost, because he's going to give you a certain amount of whatever. He's going to give you a certain lifestyle for this baby, right? So now, because it's that barter type of system, he's really not your man. He has multiple women.
Facts.
And you're technically a prostitute.
Facts.
How is that definition any different from the female at Magic City doing lap dances for money?
Right, exactly. And for me, when I just think about the situation in its entirety, all I can think about are the children that this will have long-term effects on. You know what I mean? Because like you had said earlier, the time that you have to split, like, bruh, let's be serious. There's one Christmas, there's one Easter, you know what I mean? So, like, and half of these women, some of these women they all don't even live in the same state. So how can you say that you can be an active parent and you potentially have to miss out on some very important, times in these children's lives, you know? I read or saw something, I think it was another podcaster that said these women have to schedule time through his personal assistant.
Wow.
For him to come to doctor's appointments, birthday parties. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah, and I mean, it's bizarre. And like I said, I don't know what the challenge is behind him wanting his desire to have this army, this football team. But to me, it's very concerning. You know, I'm not going to go out there and say it's mental health, but that's a whole nother story. But
Right.
it's definitely up there with red flag. And then in the community of people of color, they're of the mind that, well, as long as he can financially take care of them, and like you and I are just nicely, eloquently explaining, it's more than one way to take care of somebody.
Right.
And so when his whole football team makes their way to my couch because they're saying, you know, my father wasn't in my life. I mean, we had plenty of money, but my father wasn't around.
Right.
And so sometimes I think, you know, men, specifically men of color who kind of grew up without their own fathers or grew up and, you know, didn't have like a lot of resources.
Yeah.
They tend to believe that that's all you need to do in this life. is be a provider, and then that's it. Then your job is done. So
Yeah. And
I'm concerned
let's
for my man.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. But let's be clear, because this didn't just start with Nick Cannon. Like, I mean, we clearly have songs from our era that depicted Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Like, we clearly had songs that told us that a lot of men from generations before us were just out there hot to trot, running around with Miss Ethel, running around with Miss Laverne. You know what I mean? And like we had mentioned earlier, we ain't find out about it until, Mr. Harold's funeral. That's when we saw
Right.
all the brothers and sisters. It was hush hush. It was a secret. But it still had lasting effects on the children now, because now today we have adults who are damaged because of lack of lack of their dad being around. You know what I mean? I also feel that Nick Cannon gets a different rap for having all these women pregnant, right? So I
Okay.
feel like when it was Future and his 7 kids, when it was NBA Youngboy and his 7 kids, we just could not get with the fact that this man is just laying up with 7 women, just everybody, it was talked negatively in the media. It was talked negatively amongst our peers. But with Nick Cannon, I feel like it's almost celebrated a bit. I feel
know
like
why, Denise?
he gets a pass.
You know
why?
why?
Tell me why.
Because it's 2 types of fuckboys. It's the type that's arrogant, in your face, doesn't give a damn. I'm going to take care of the child, but I don't want to have nothing to do with you or the child. It was nice knowing you. It was a great night, right? Then you have the Nick Cannons, where he's very much a fuckboy, but he's going to take care of you. He's going to buy you a house. He's going to schedule time when he can come and do a photo shoot, schedule times when he can come to do different events. But they're still the same. They're just on different continuums of fuck.
Yeah. I definitely agree. With that said, though, as we touch base on the women, I think one time you had mentioned like this polygamy. We just gonna call it like a soft polygamy family, right? We just gonna call it that, because in essence, if you look at the definition of it, it pretty much is that that's what it is. Yeah, they're not married, but they're all okay with Nick
Here's the
spreading
thing,
his
it
loins.
like it depends on where you are. Like polygamy in a lot of states is still very much illegal. So a lot of people who are subscribing to that lifestyle are not legally married either.
Right. Do you think these women ever initially knew about one another, or initially cared about one another? Or do you just think they just kind of did it for, the fortune or the fame or whatever may have came with it?
It's hard for me to believe that they had the standard of, he has to have come in with some sort of conversation or disclaimer to me, I think. Kind of letting them know, like, this is what it's going to be. You can either be a part of what I'm putting down, you can pick it up, or not. It's hard for me to believe that he came in saying, I'm going to be exclusively your man.
Right.
And then, because why is okay, maybe they all sign, DNAs and, do not tell
NDAs,
type of
NDAs,
documentation, because there's no way that somebody like Puffy's women, even Puffy's women, they start getting catty with each other after a while.
Yeah.
Like Young Miami and the other young lady that he's dating. Once in a while, he has to put them both in their place and remind them that I'm just dating. I'm just living my life, and he says it. So Nick Cannon either has to have said something like that, or they've signed paperwork, because it's like 5 or 6 women. Why has none of them come out to say, oh, hell no?
Yeah. And
And
it's only human.
women, like, women are so unruly.
Yes.
Like we are so unruly, and if you like
Yep.
something, it's hard for me to believe that you're going to keep quiet. And
Yeah.
this other woman, and just and you're cool with being his Monday night flavor.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's human nature. It's human nature to go into something assuming that you're going to be okay and then be blindsided by jealousy. It's just human nature to be jealous of the time or lack thereof that you may be spending with one and not spending with another. You know what I mean? And then I just feel like it just opens up a whole. I feel like it's cute now. The pictures are serving. You know what I mean? The pregnancy announcement. But I do see and can foresee a lot of issues coming down the pipeline in years to come with Nick and these women coming out, you know what I mean, telling a different story, saying how it wasn't all peachy and keen. You know what I mean? I really see that happening in the years to come. And that leads me to my next question I wanted to talk to you about. I had came across an old clip of one of my faves, Devon Franklin, and I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to get your opinion. You let me know. To men, emotional intimacy with any woman who's not your monogamous partner is an unsafe space. He then goes on to say, no man should confide intimate feelings to a woman that's not a wife, a girlfriend, or a family member. Female friends can still be friends, but a man must be cautious about how he is with them, how open he is with them. It's easy to catch feelings for each other when you're sharing your deepest, darkest secrets. What do you got to say about that, Les, before I touch base on that?
I agree with the man.
Yeah.
I agree with the man. Now, to what degree, like what categories or how we categorizing these friendships?
Right.
You know, every people may have little boxes that they put people in. Okay, this is my friend for, hanging out, or this is my friend. So, yeah, you do have to be careful when you start crossing lines and sharing, like, your innermost thoughts.
Right.
I mean, anytime you're sharing your innermost thoughts, you are building a connection with somebody, and it can get, deep. So men are just different, right? Because we have to understand the male-female dynamic. And then once you understand the male-female dynamic, you understand there's so much power that exists in between that dynamic, and that is nothing to be taken lightly. So it is, I think it is a man's job to be the visionary in the sense of, okay, how am I going to handle this woman? And to make it clear how he's handling her. Like, if you're just her friend, make that clear. Right. But don't be her friend one day, and the next day, you trying to push up. And the next day, you saying things like, oh, yeah, if I was your man, and all of this other mess.
Right, right.
So,
and that's what, it's funny you say that, because that's exactly, I had saw another clipping of Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey said, I don't have female friends. He was like, I can't. And the reporter said, why? Because you married? He was like, yeah, I'm married, but that's not the reason. The reason is because you are probably my quote-unquote female friend, because at one moment in time, I tried to push up on you. I tried to see you in a romantic way, and you weren't having it. So you possibly friend-zoned me, and that's how we became friends. Now, my opinion on the situation is that I do believe that there needs to be a level of transparency, right? There are men who may have female friends. I get that, right? But there needs to be a level of transparency with the woman that you're seeing and the women that you're friends with. And when I say that, I feel like there needs to be some type of communication. All parties need to know about all parties, That's so, right. and I'll tell you a little. I was dating a guy, and he had just got out of a divorce, and he had told me a story about he had a female friend, and they were really good friends. But when he got married, his wife kind of, in so many words, basically told him, like, yo, that's not, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that relationship. So he and the female friend kind of started growing further apart. And I can tell as he's telling the story that he felt really a way about it, that he had to disconnect that relationship or not be as involved as he was, And so then we had started dating, and that should have been a red flag, right? But it wasn't. No. No, I eat red flags for lunch. So we had started dating, and I noticed that he had a lot of female friends. I mean, a lot of female friends. So me being kind of newly out of my last relationship, which there was like a lot of infidelity, right? I brought some insecurities into this relationship, hearing that he had all these female friends. I wasn't of the sound mind to be like, oh yeah, men could have platonic relationships. I was just like, no, there's got to be something else. That no man just has a bunch of female friends. You know what I mean? I may have one really good friend from high school, and he would start to, I guess, after coming out of the relationship with his wife, he was like, listen, I ain't losing no more friends. These my friends. And instead of kind of doing right by me, he then started kind of being, I guess, secretive about the relationships. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Talking to them, hanging out with them behind my back. And for me, it was just like, we could all be friends.
That's right.
We could all be friends. I had no worry, no issues with that. But when you take it to another level, well, first of all, let me tell you who we can be friends with. I'm not going to be friends. You can't be friends in a relationship with me if you have had sexual relationships with this female. That's it. She's gone. If you have ever tried to or had like an emotional bond where you felt romantic with her, and you guys just, that can't happen. That can't, because your discernment is not allowing you to do what's right. You know what I mean? You're looking at, I gotta choose. There should never be I gotta choose.
Right.
If you committed yourself to this woman that, over here, you committed yourself to her, what is there to choose of? You've always been friends over here. No one's telling you to choose. We're just saying use your discernment. Don't put me in a place where I have to be the one to say, hey, what's going on here? If I feel the energy is just completely off with that situation, that relationship, because intuitively speaking, we know when something's just, hey, that's my homegirl, whatever. You may have to say, yo, come on, that's just such and such. Oh, okay, you're right. But there was manipulation. There was, constant, relying heavy on my insecurities and making me feel like I was in the wrong. Learned behavior after the fact that I realized, like, no, what he was doing was not okay. You know what I mean? I was completely okay with him having friends, just not friends that you had sex with, that you had tried to be with, and then you're sitting here and you're telling them your, as Devon Franklin just said, your deepest, darkest secrets. It's one thing to have a work wife, but it's another thing to be like calling them up and saying, oh, I had a bad day at work. But that's what you got your girl for. Right. You know what I mean?
I have a few opinions on it.
Yeah. Right.
So my frontal lobe opinion at the top of my mind states, we have all these disclaimers, don't do this, don't do that. My second mind is, I'm not trying to tell a grown ass man how to move.
That part. Right?
So those days for me are definitely in the rear view. Mm-hmm. They don't exist in my world. Mm-hmm. No man of mine wants to even put me in a position where I feel insecure about another woman.
Right.
Like, he just is not my man. Like, right. I don't feel comfortable calling that man mine if I feel insecure about his movements with another female.
Right.
Right? So now,
I agree.
He has dropped the ball in my life. Mm-hmm. And if he's dropped the ball in my life now, my second question to myself would be, what value does he now have? Because if I'm in the same league as his BFF, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'm like Nick Cannon in the girls, right?
Exactly. It was almost, I can tell you, the feeling that I felt was like I was just as an option as they were. Terminology, or he would make the statement of, why do I have to give up my friends? Because the relationship isn't built on a friendly friendship. The pursuant of the possibility that if you mess up, They got me.
Right. And so here, that's why that's a slippery slope, right?
Right.
Because on one end, you have your standards and you want your person to treat you accordingly, right? Because they know your standards and vice versa. The inverse is true. You know, if I'm pursuing a man, that's the last thing I'm going to do is be kikiing up in the face of another man. Like, I know who I am. I know what power I bring to the table. If I talk to you long enough, you're going to want to be my man. You understand what I'm saying?
Round.
But do you understand what I'm saying to you? If I talk to you long enough, you're going to be begging to be my man.
Exactly. No, I feel you.
So if the same is the inverse is true with a man, if he pursues a woman long enough, like, what is she going? You leave her no choice. She going to want to be your woman.
Right.
So, and I'm the kind of woman, I don't want to date a man or, you know, be associated with a man who I don't think other women like. I want to be with a man who other women are attracted to.
Right. Exactly.
So, unless I'm going to put a bag over his head and put him in a closet, I have to move with a mindset of, honestly, at the end of the day, it's so many other options. You know, people are going to die with options.
Yeah.
But it's about choices. It's not about the options. It's plenty of options. But what's your choice? Are you choosing me at the end of the day? Do you choose your partner? And so they can say, I don't have friends like that. Or they can say, I have friends. Or, you know, you could even be a friend of their friend.
Facts.
And so when you start getting in the weeds of micromanaging friendships of any kind, it's just a slippery slope. And so I just move with the confidence of knowing that, again, if you jump out there, then your ass is out there. I'm not going to reel you back. I'm not pulling you back. If you play yourself with me, you won't get another chance to play yourself. You know, so I think a part of it has to be you knowing who you are, what you bring to the table. Like, if he your real man and he really wants to make you feel secure, then you get your friend and we could all be friends. To hide and sneak and you got to do certain things, you know, to keep your cover, then the question is not for me and him. The question is for me.
Right.
Why am I even with this? This is a goofy ass nigga.
This was a goofy ass situation. It was a goofy ass just partnership. You know what I mean? Like I said, it was like unrequited love. Like, you're giving everything. You are making sure that you are not making him look sloppy, messy, just kind of just corny out in these streets, but it's not being reciprocated. I would put my pride aside and have conversations, Les, and actually say things like, yo, just tell me, like, just be upfront. So I'd just be like, yo, you know, I'm over here by myself, you know, I got, you know, some friends out here, hit up to this, you know, lounge or whatever, grab some drink. That's fine. That's completely fine when you're being transparent, when you're being communicative, you know what I mean? But when you're like deliberately being shady, when you're deliberately trying to hide facts, that presents its own set of challenges. You know what I mean? And shit blows up. You know, things hit the fan. You know what I mean?
Also, let's be clear about the fact that, you know, at this big age of mine, I do have friends that are men.
Right.
And I'm like close to them, and
we
and not
all
like
do.
Not in a way where it's like disrespectful to whoever they're with. But it's literally a legit friendship. And you know why I think it's legit friendship in a lot of ways? It's not because of the way that they handle me, but because of the way I handle them.
Okay.
Like, maybe it's a stone cold bias around the notion that I feel like men, although very powerful, in a variety of ways, like, the right woman seems to me, maybe I'm naive when I say it, the right woman might be able to, you know, tempt 99% of the men. Right? But in my mind, I'm going to handle that man a certain way because I don't want to be with him like that. So he's just my friend, but it's probably it's not really how he's handling me. So that's why it's really important that when your man has a friend, that you meet her. Yeah. So you can discern how she handling him.
Because
you know what I mean?
You can pick up on, like I said, listen, I think as people, not even as women, as men, we do not rely on our God gift intuition, our intuitiveness, our, we do not rely on it enough, because you can instantly pick up on the energy of what's really going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's really going on.
You know when somebody wants to be with your man, and vice versa. A man knows when another man wants to be with his woman. I get a sense that she is kind of handling him in a way where she feels like she can have him whenever she wants him. Then that's the catch for me. Like, that's typically the thing to be on the lookout for, because it's like just a matter of time.
Yeah.
But again, you know what I mean? I could be completely naive. I'm not a man. But I like to believe that I've studied them enough.
That part. Can we all get that handbook? Really, because I'm telling you, it's so much shit out here. Like, we're still learning well into our 40s. You know what I mean? Just like I said, it's all about creating boundaries. And for me, that's going to be a real testament, a real boundary, going forward. You know what I mean? It just has to be because, like I said, it was a hurtful situation. It was a hurtful situation, but I don't blame, that guy 100%, because I blame myself. When you allow certain things, you gotta take some shit on the chin, but like you said, if that was my guy, he would never want to put me in a situation like that. He would never want me to feel or any type of lack at all. You know what I mean? Or if I was in competition with anybody, like my guy, my person will never, you know what I mean, allow that. So yeah.
And so, I know I'm listening and I'm hearing, and it's probably a man out there right now when they hear this, they're going to be like, well, it's men who can make you feel a certain way, make you not feel a lack, and make you feel like, you are the top in his world, but he still has a bunch of women. And you're absolutely right. I'm only one human.
Right.
And so my whole thing is that maybe people are not going to be transparent. Maybe people are not going to keep it 100. But for a man who openly moves like that and is not kind of cross-checking and making sure that the one he says that he's with, that she's straight, he a goofball to me.
Yeah. Yep. And like you said, it may be men out there that can play that game and play the role and make me feel like fucking Cinderella while they still out here with,
Nick Cannon. Nick is doing it.
All day. There are men out here like that are doing it. But again, it's for me to use my discernment now. And yeah, it's just for us to kind of recognize, what's a red flag to me. What will I accept and won't I accept? And if that's the boundary that you're going to put up, that, I don't mind you having female friends, but I would like to meet them. I would like to, you know what I mean? Let's all have dinner. Let's all go for drinks, I have no problem introducing you to any of my male friends. They have no problem shooting the breeze, you know what I mean? Deucing you up, no problem at all. So, it is what it is. And that's just that.
It is.
So, Leslie, I want to thank you for another dope episode of Dope After 40, the podcast. This was enlightening. And guys, I keep trying. Listen, I'm trying to get her on the show permanently. I mean, send me some letters, some DMs, do what it do. I mean, where's her girl gang at? Where Gail at? Where Des? Come on, I need y'all to kind of push her into this podcast atmosphere over here. All right, we need her full time. Okay, she's the truth. But guys, thanks for listening. I hope you're happy with we're doing the video now. We're getting this up and popping. And until next episode, Les, as always, thanks, dog.
Bye, Denise. Thank you,
Bye, guys.
girlfriend.